Yeah, we're like an hour and 15, I think.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you have the grass is greener than syndrome guy.
We are actually the most humble guys that I know. It's kind of one of our strong points.
And I have sniffed so much Yeti that my head immediately became shaped for a flat brim.
We never say how fit we are. We just don't talk like that.
No.
The thru hiker. Basically, that is the guy hikes all day. If he's giving 110%, that's the best chance he has of getting an animal.
You know, I know a guy like that. His name's Cousin Ben Morris.
Yeah.
You know, you don't hear us talking about how awesome we are.
No, dude, I wouldn't even mention that.
Dude, we got about 200 yards with 200 pounds, and we were like, we must be retarded. This is never going to happen. You can't, like, see
I don't
eyes.
want to see anything coming from the left and right. I have ninja type abilities. So I'm like, oh, you're going to die.
Come on, get a piece of it.
Why, yes, Brian. It is true.
That sounds terrible.
The days of our lives.
Hello, alright, you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen, home of gritty bow hunting films, interviews, tall tales, and a wee bit of manly boasting.
I'm South Cox, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Hey, this is Corey Jacobson, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
We bone and raised outdoors, and you've been listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
There you go.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Jordan.
And you're watching
The Gritty Bowmen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are right now, get out a piece of paper or your phone and open it to the notes section so you can mark the date and time because you're going to want to remember this day. Today is the day that the two greatest hunting podcasts known to man came together to make what I like to call a super episode. Kind of like when the X-Men would team up with the Avengers or Batman would team up with Superman. This is the podcast to end all podcasts, the shows to beat all shows. So without further ado, I will introduce my extra special co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, big sexy Phil Mendoza. And we are joined today by an equally great man who's slightly less sexy, however. But if I'm listening to another podcast that's not the sound of my own voice, I will be listening to his. And today's extra special, almost as sexy, guest co-host is Brian Call. You know him. You love him. You've heard him on the Gritty Bowmen. Welcome to the Duel Show.
Welcome, Brian.
You guys are supposed to talk when I stop.
Yeah, those intros are epic. Yeah, they're just epic. I mean, I don't know what to say.
You know what I was doing before, on the way down here? I was listening to Ric Flair, old WWE intros. You ever hear him give like an intro? I'm nothing compared to Ric Flair, the Nature Boy. Woo!
Yeah, I was just going to say, you forget something there with Ric Flair.
That's right. Rolex wearing, diamond ring. I forget. You know what? I'm going to find one of those for one of these intros one of these days. There's something, do you guys watch wrestling at all anymore?
No. I never really watched it to start with.
Never once. Not even during the Attitude Era?
Dude, it was fake, Will. It's still fake.
Here's the thing. The physicality
my son's
is real.
True.
My son's going through the phase right now. He's all about John Cena, right? John Cena's the second coolest guy around because I got to remind him that his dad's the coolest guy. but he gets upset because I put some MMA on the other night. I'm watching some MMA and he says, "Dad, what's this?" And mind you, I take him to work out MMA, right? He just calls it kickboxing. But he says, "What's this?" I said, "This is MMA. This is where the baddest fighters in the world fight." "Well, that's the WWE." I said, "No, son, you got a lot to learn yet." But we're going to learn him. We're going to learn him.
How did he come across the WWE, though, Phil?
And John Cena, you can't see me, just like I'm right now on this podcast. Look, you can't see me. Woo. So I don't know. It's all over kid stuff, man. He's got a backpack, John Cena. He's got a lunchbox, John Cena. They're not only polluting the minds of adults, they're polluting the minds of kids.
Where's the Natural Born Hunter lunchbox, dude?
We should get on that. We should get on that.
Backpack.
I know. I'm with you. More the merrier. Actually,
you know what's funny?
Hold on, I got to do a plug here, Brian.
Right,
cut me off.
Do it quick.
If people would like a Natural Born Hunter shirt, they can go to our Etsy store and pick one up.
Because I was gonna say, I'm gonna ask you this. What is there's a lot of things that are common between, in my opinion, the hunting industry and UFC and NASCAR.
I thought you were going to say WWE.
I wasn't.
A lot of big goes in everybody's face.
It could be WWE too, but I haven't really watched it, so I can't really say. But if you got UFC and NASCAR, there's something in the hunting industry that's very similar, I think.
It's because it's a nothing against the women. We love the women, right? We love our Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey and our women huntresses, but these activities are male dominated, beat on your chest, alpha dominated sports, right? That's what they are. And okay, the controversy of whether a race car driver is an athlete or not, I don't want to get into that. So in my opinion, I think it's just that machismo kind of attitude of, hey, I can do it better, or watch this. And some people do it in a different way, but I think those sports or those activities are
still very male dominated. In
some way driven, exactly. Yeah. They're very driven by that.
So do you think that's why? Because I was thinking in the hunting industry, everyone's a freaking walking billboard. Like in that UFC, too. Like before they go in the fight, they got they switch 7 hats, and they get a picture taken with their drink and they're this and they're that. I feel like a lot of the hunting industry is the same way. It's like, hang on, and NASCAR's like that. It's like they got 50 million stickers on their car, and by the time you've seen every sticker on their car, it doesn't matter what they say they use in their car. They're paid to say it.
Yeah. No, you're right. There is that too. But, Reebok put the nicks on UFC with that stuff. The only thing they can wear now is the Reebok stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's
but it's because Dana White's putting all the money in his pocket, and the fighters are getting the shaft. But that's a different story. But you're right. The hunting community.
I guarantee we'll never get Dana White on our show.
You know what? I think that we're all adults here, and I think that he would agree that he's he's very business minded, and he's taking care of his own business. So I don't think he'd deny that.
I wonder though I wonder if some of the lesser fighters are making a lot more money through the Reebok deal.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think. I mean, I listen to the Fighter and the Kid podcast every once in a while.
Yep.
With Brendan Schaub.
Yep.
And
I know
he's very outspoken. I don't know if you got me.
Oh yeah, I knew he didn't want to stick with it because the whole Reebok deal was a deal breaker.
He was saying something, and I don't remember exactly. I don't want to misquote him, but I thought it was something along the lines of around $3,000 is what Reebok was giving a fighter per fight, and Brendan was making well over $100,000 doing advertising on his own per fight. So,
but see,
and he's not top dog.
But I wonder, when you got a lot of these lesser fighters, they're not making $100,000 like he was. The Bear had all kinds of,
I get so on. I mean, on a local level, like on the amateur boxing and some, boxing stuff and some MMA stuff, I get hit up from fighters regularly. Hey, because they see, some of the UFC guys come in here and shoot, and some of the, Justin Gaethje, one of the other organization's champion, right? He comes in and shoots. So there's younger guys that come in and hit me up for advertising. Yeah. They're not looking for $100. They're still asking for $500 to $1,000 just to put my name on their shorts or something. So you put that in perspective. They got 4, 5, 6 people on their shorts. I think they're getting hosed, man. And that's like middle, lower third. Guys just trying to make a name for themselves. So I think I would guess that even on a lower scale, because I don't know. I don't think that the UFC they've got so many fighters, so they had to water it down. Reebok did, but I don't know, man. It's you're right. It's funny to see how it is related to archery, and everybody hashtags every.
I mean, we all do
that
it
they're on.
To a degree. I just think it's kind of. So on that note, what's the right way to do a sponsorship? Is there a right way or a wrong way? I know there's a way that pisses me off and a way that doesn't.
Now let's go into this. Let's hear the way that pisses you off first.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, so elaborate there, because I have my opinions on it too, and I mean it's a pretty interesting topic.
Well, Phil, you see both sides of the coin too.
I do.
So
go ahead, Brian.
So yeah, you probably have a lot more experience in this area than Will or I, but we're learning, aren't we, Will?
Oh yeah, I know the words "gimme."
Yeah.
So, I think what drives me crazy, what bothers me, is when guys or gals, when they're promoting a product that they don't believe in because they were paid to promote it, and I just see that all over the place. Now, it's hard to tell if a guy is if he really believes in it or doesn't, and then just some. I don't know. Like, I want to see more honesty. So if you're going to tell me that you love this product, okay, and it's great, but I know, and the next guy, the guy next door, I mean, everybody knows that product isn't the best one in it. Let's say let's just use a backpack, for example, okay? You got a backpack. It's all right. It gets the job done, but it's no Cadillac. Don't tell me it's a Cadillac. Tell me it's a good backpack, gets the job done, and they support you, and you would like me to support them because they support you. I'm okay with that. What I don't want to hear is, this is the best backpack in the world, and there's no backpack better. That's a freaking lie. It's just not true. It's not that well designed. It's not that well built. And don't tell me it's the best one in the world when I know there's like 3 others that can crush it.
Well, and I think the part of the problem with that becomes where somebody who's eager to be involved and be a part of something, and they think they need to be on pro staff, right? And let's say that they just don't have the experience. So again, let's keep with the backpack topic.
Yeah.
So up until 4 years ago or so, I wasn't using Kifaru packs. But about 4 years ago is when I hunted my first season with the Kifaru. Before that, I was running the Badlands stuff. Mm-hmm. And they were heavier. They worked. I mean, I hauled all kinds of stuff out with the Badlands pack.
Yep.
But until I was introduced to the Kifaru, I had no idea, right?
Yeah.
And so at that point, when somebody would ask me about a backpack, it's like, yeah, man, my Badlands they're badass, right? They work very well. But then it's like, oh my God, an epiphany, right? I put this other pack on. It's like, well, what was I doing with that? So
well, I agree with that. Keep going.
So that's just. You're right. The people in the know that have done the research and looked into, let's say, backpacks, they're going to go out and try out 5, and it's hard because they're expensive. It's an expensive item, just like most things are. But if they go out and they do the research and they try them on, they check the reviews and they talk to people and they go, okay, well, we know that XYZ companies are touted to be the best. Mm-hmm. And then there's the next tier and the next tier. So the pack I'm using is in that second tier. So is it really just for me to go blast this as a best backpack ever when obviously it's probably not? Yeah, that's when people are in the wrong. But
I also think,
I don't know.
too, like one of the first questions I want to ask a guy when he's wearing a backpack like a Badlands and he's like, this is the best pack and it's just amazing. Now, I know he's sponsored by Badlands. I know they're not to pick on Badlands, but
sure,
let's throw that out there. And I have 2 Badland packs. I'll always have them. I love them. I just use them for different things.
Sure.
They're like just a different kind of pack. They're great for me for like a day pack or something, but they're not at the level like you were saying. Like I have a Kifaru pack. I love that pack. Now, when you take these 2 packs, okay, when a guy says Badlands is the best, I got a 4500. I just packed out an elk with it. It's awesome. Now I got to sit back and go, what else have you used? Just like you said, that's the first question that comes to my mouth. Well, what else have you used? If you have no other frame of reference, if before that you were using like a JanSport, well then yeah, I mean your Badlands is rocking. But if that's not what you were wearing before, I mean, if you haven't tried the other ones, don't make that statement. You know what I mean? And I do like it when a guy comes out and says, this is the best backpack I've ever worn. Before this, I used this, this, and this. And then I got a frame of reference to go by. Okay, well, you haven't quite tried this one or this one, which I know from experience, because I've tried them both, are better than the one you were wearing. But at least there's more honesty there. And I really do struggle with the whole marketing of something that you're paid to market. You know what I mean? And yet, because the Gritty Bowmen Podcast is at a point where we've been approached, and we've approached some other companies about doing, working together. I like to call it partnering. I don't like the word sponsor because I feel like at that point, you're being paid to say you like something. When to me, it's a partnership. It's like you're both going to build each other and bring each other up together because you believe in each other's products. I'm
going to steal that.
Well, no, and that's true, and that's where, like you said, the problem is so from the company standpoint, right? You need somebody to properly help you promote your product, right? So for example, Mountain Ops, they need pawns, which it don't take any disrespect to how I say that, but your promotional staff are essentially pawns, your workforce to help get the word out. Right, so that's their goal, and then you, as a pawn or as a worker, promotional staff, because my opinion, promotional and pro staff are two separate things. But on your promotional staff, which most people fall into that category that are promoting something, or on a staff, it's your job to, in the best way, promote that product. But where people falter is because they're not honest and they're not authentic, like you said. If you're authentic and you're honest about it, and like you said, you said it perfectly. Hey, you know what? I use Mountain Ops. They're a great company. Their mission statement, where their goal or where they want to go. I believe in it. I support their product. I like their product. And I've used a few other companies, but up until this point in my life, this is the best product I have tried. I have used, or I've used GNC and whatever brands, and I feel this is better because XYZ. Now, like you said, you're giving an explanation, you're authentic, and you're honest. Okay, then nobody can shoot you down, because then they might say, well, you haven't tried Muscle Farm. Okay, well, you're right. I haven't tried Muscle Farm, but up until this point, this is what I've tried, and this is why I like it. So that's when people can stay in the positive light amongst people if they're authentic and honest.
Yeah, I think you have to, honestly, from your position, like as a podcaster, Will and Phil, you've got to come at it like, I'm here to provide you a service, the listener a service, add value to the listener, whether it be entertainment, information, instruction, something that they can use. And the same goes for any products you promote. If you don't believe in those products, you're not doing them a service. You're not going, okay, I'm here to help you. You're like, I'm here to screw you. And there's a totally different approach. And so, but when money comes into play, let's say, and this is totally hypothetical, you've got this situation where two companies sell the same product. Okay? Let's just say they're tennis shoes. All right?
Okay.
Not the best example, but let's just go there because
let's just stick with the protein. They're both selling the same protein.
Okay, they're both selling protein, right? So you got protein. One is, it's not a very good example, but let's see. Let me back up. Okay, right. You're selling bows. I'll go there. That feels safe. You're selling a compound bow. There are two companies selling compound bows. All right, now. One company makes a bow, a budget bow, that's pretty dang sweet for the money.
Sure.
Right? The next company makes the best bow or one of the top elite bows. It's just, but it has a price on it, right? There's no question. It's expensive. Okay?
Sure.
Now, both companies are like, hey, Natural Born Hunter Podcast, NBH, we want you to promote our bows. And now you're going, do I do this bow or do I do that bow, right? Well, you're like, well, if I go with this bow, you can say this is the best bow. But most of the guys that listen to your show, they can't really leverage that much because guess what? That's a little out of the price range of the average Joe, right? But this bow, this budget one is sweet for what you pay for it, and you like that bow. So you're like, okay, well, you talk to the budget bow guys, and you're like, hey guys, what I want to say is, this bow is awesome for what you're paying for it. You can't beat it. The value is in it. And they're like, well, we kind of want you to not say that and just kind of say we're the best. That's where I have a problem, because that ain't honest. That's not true. And I don't want to say that. I can't say that. It's not real. And,
oh, sorry. No, keep going.
And so that's where I have trouble. And maybe they honestly believe theirs is the best. But if I don't, I can't say the same thing.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Everything's got a price on it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So just a hypothetical again, right? Now, anybody who wants to do their research can figure out podcasting and marketing and everything else. So this being a podcast, a super podcast, if you will, if somebody goes and does their research and figures stuff out, hey, it's not rocket science what the demand is for this space. So if somebody comes to you, Brian, and at the Gritty Bowmen and says, Brian, we want to double the going rate for marketing, and we want you to support our product. And not only are we going to double the going rate, we're going to commit to 2 years with you, and it's going to adjust based off your growth. So as you grow, we're going to pay you more, double the going rate. Would you sell your soul?
No, I'm just too proud, dude. Because I sit there and go, okay, and I won't lie. Like, money has an influence, right? The money will really, when I would discount a company, like, yeah, they're not my favorite, or I've never really been a fan of this, blah, blah. And they're like, well, we'll pay you triple what anybody else will pay you. It's like, you believe in me that much? You want us that badly? And it'll make me double, look at something twice that I normally would just dismiss, for sure.
Sure.
At the same time, though, I'm kind of like, I feel like, and I haven't, so I've been doing the podcast since February. It'll be a year in February. And we haven't monetized it yet. Like, I haven't got paid for the Gritty Bowmen at all. And I even bought my stuff from Mountain Ops, right? They send me some stuff at a good discount, but I haven't, like, been paid yet. Well, and for a long time I wanted to stay away from that. Like, I don't want to be paid because I want to be able to talk crap about whoever I want, be as honest and frank as I want, be as biased as I want without anybody complaining about my opinion, right? Because, hey, no one's paying me to say any of it. But now it's like, I either got to quit this thing or get paid, because it's just, my kids don't see me, my wife doesn't see me. I have 2 jobs. I work. The Gritty Bowmen takes a lot of time, and then I have my day job, and so it's like, okay, it's time. And plus, a lot of companies are like, we want to work with you, so I'm ready to, let's do this. Well, getting paid though starts to mess things up. And for me, I feel like, look, I have a lot of people who are fans of the Gritty Bowmen. I would rather come up with something that benefits them greatly, where they'll come and, like, I haven't figured out what it is yet either, but some product, I'd rather do it all myself, is what I'm saying. I'll make the money myself. I don't need you sponsor. I don't need you sponsor. I don't need that sponsor. I'll do it all by myself, which is kind of how I was approaching it in the beginning. But now I see, after working with companies like Mountain Ops and becoming really good friends and Full Draw Film Tour and stuff, it's like, wait a minute, these companies I really love and I want to support, and they are wanting to support me, and it's like, okay, this is stupid for me to be all super independent and not, work with anybody else. So now I'm trying to do like a blend, right? But it's not easy to do. But I'm kind of like, look, I would rather find a way to make the money without selling my soul, is I guess what I'm getting at.
So you do it for 50 cents on the dollar with somebody that you believe in, use their product, and can sleep at night when you talk about their product.
Absolutely. But I agree
with you.
But I think that over time, if I add the value that I want to add to their company, they'll be like, look, we want to help you as I help them. And it'll be more fair. I don't want to ask more than I'm delivering, and I want them to feel like they're getting a lot of value out of their investment in me. So anyway,
I think there's a lot of different factors here, and there's a whole different scope, like you say, when you talk about like a pro staff. Are they the promotional staff? Are they some kind of affiliate? Are they the real pro staff? Are they podcast, TV show, whatever? Where's their level of commitment, rather? Because you're going to have guys just starting out who are going to be excited to get on any pro staff, no matter what the definition of pro is, right?
Yeah.
And I think the problem comes from, in like most places in life, is from the top down. What examples can you point to in this industry at the top? Like there's a few, right? There's a few that you can point to and say, these guys get it. These guys are doing it right. This is who you should follow. But I think there's far more bad examples than there are good examples of people to follow. In like anything, they're going to follow what they see. What they see is working for people. And that's a guy who one season he's shooting this gun or this bow, next season he's shooting this one. Like how many people just now that I know of just jumped off one bow company to go for another bow company this season, right?
Oh, yeah, it does seem like that's what I mean with the UFC and the NASCAR comparisons. It's like it just doesn't feel genuine. It feels like whoever paid whoever to say whatever is what happens, and so they start to lose any real influential power within their marketing, right? Because one year they're with this guy, and the next year they're with this company. So obviously somebody bought out someone else's contract. Consumers aren't stupid. Hunters aren't dumb. They know that basically this guy was using this company because he was paid X. Now he's using this company because he's paid double X. That's what happened. And nobody's going, yeah, he switched because, man, this new company is just amazing. They're going, he switched because he got paid to switch. That's really, I think, what goes through. That's my cynical. That's when I look at it and I see some guy switch from one company to the next. Most of the time, I'm thinking, he got a better deal.
That's
I believe
the gray
in this
area.
company.
Right, that's the gray area because, like, let's take bows again, for example.
Yeah.
Just recently, a lot of pro-level shooters have been, in the last 3 or 4 years, they've been switching companies, and certain companies are spending more money and buying these shooters on a competitive side, on the tournament side.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting topic because this person's been with this company for 10, 12 years, right? And then all of a sudden, the value, their demand went up because of performance, what have you, and somebody else put a higher price tag on it. So is that shooter, in this example, any less of a person?
That does not.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you right now.
That does not bother me, though. He was with the other company for 10 years. What bothers me is when they switch year after year after year. You're right. You're completely right. I have nothing against the guy who's like loyal for X period, loves this company, but there's another company who came along that has great products as well, that is willing to invest in him more or her. I'm like, I don't begrudge him that at all.
But here's where the only issue that I have, because I agree with you. If somebody, because in archery, in competitive archery, there's not that much money. Okay, there's just flat out not. It's not golf. It's not baseball. It's not NASCAR. So the few that are getting paid to do what they love and do it well, man, hey, I pat you on the back, shake your hand, good job, you've earned it, right?
Yeah.
So, and usually shooting contracts are 2 to 3 year contracts. So that's when you'll see somebody that may switch over. If they switch over sooner than that, it's because they broke their contract or something else happened. But here's the issue. When one person gets a new contract, oh, this is the greatest bow ever, best company I've worked for. A year later, 2 years later, they break their contract. Something happens. They leave. That company is a piece of garbage. I've never want to deal with them again. Now this product is the best product ever. You know what? Leave your dirty laundry in the closet or somewhere else. I don't need to know about it, right?
Yeah.
If you're here to promote that product and you got paid for it, man, hey, I'm already on your side because I know how hard it is to get to that level. Yeah. So if you've gotten to that level, don't be a D-bag about it, right? Well, that's the biggest issue I have.
I see where you're coming from. I think that there's I think another issue though at play here is we're talking about money right now and being paid, right? But the thing with sponsors, and this is true in the hunting industry, I think more than the rest, and is that when it comes to sponsorships, a lot of, we talk about this with different guys. It's kind of a theme. There's a lot of egos in the hunting industry. There's a lot of egos in UFC. There's a lot of egos in NASCAR. There's kind of a lot of egos in certain sports. I mean, you could say there's probably egos in every sport at the elite level, right? But in hunting, you don't have to be at the elite level to have a really strong ego, right? It's like, I see them all over Instagram and Facebook. But those healthy egos, a lot of times they're seeking validation from an external source. It's like, hey, if I can say I'm sponsored by so and so, then I have arrived, right? Like then that means I'm successful. If this company says I sponsor you for this, and this, it's like it's more of a psychological thing. It's more of an ego thing, often I think, than a monetary thing, even for most people. A lot of guys aren't seeking to be paid to promote your product. They just want free product and to be able to say, this company sponsors me. And that kind of bugs me because, I'll just be honest. Free product just doesn't do crud for me. I don't give a crud. It's not enough. It's not enough to make me become a company man. I don't want to get free product and then promote. I want to promote because I actually love your stuff. And so nothing against free stuff, but I guess I just don't want to see a guy promoting it because for validation. You don't need this company, this external company who doesn't really care. A lot of time they have so many people coming to them saying, hey, sponsor me, give me a free bow and I'll tell everybody that your bow's the best. They have a million guys doing that. You become like another guy doing it. I just don't think that I don't think you need that validation in your life. You don't need it.
Well,
do it based on your abilities or your drive or your what you bring to the table to the hunting community or to the things that you love. I don't know.
We've talked a little bit about this before, and I would call it the free bow mentality, right? And I've been there coming up. I've been there where I thought if I could just get one company, right, that gives me a free bow and I'm sponsored by, I have made it. Yeah. Will Bradley has arrived. Here I am. I've done it. I have accomplished my goal. And the funny thing is, when I finally got to a point where I could, but when I had that mentality, I didn't really have anything. I didn't have a circle of influence. I mean, I was offering the same basic stuff everybody out there is offering. How good did you do in your local leagues? How'd you do in, your winter league with 10 other guys? It's the same song and dance everybody's doing. And then once I went into the train to hunt kind of universe, it's just like with CrossFit. My ego got checked real fast, real quick, disappeared. And by the time we got to where I could actually get a free bow from a company and be sponsored, I had no interest in a free bow. I had way more interest in say this podcast or in writing an article or putting out videos or doing my own thing. I had so much more fulfillment found in that getting anything for free, while it's nice, like you say, it's cool. It by far wasn't the overall goal. It wasn't the end goal, and it kind of turns into, it's like, oh, nice, I got this for free, but what I really got to do is up what I did last time. Do better.
Yeah. I think that sometimes it's the validation that we're seeking when we want a sponsor. I would like that to go away. Just stop trying to feel good about yourself or your accomplishments by having some third-party group who's selling the crap out of a product because that's what they do for a living. Validate you. Don't go there for it. Get it somewhere else. Get it from a much deeper and more meaningful place. Family and hunting at its purest and stuff like that, rather than, hey, so-and-so companies just gave me a free pair of pants. I have made it. You know, I have made it. I have proven I am one hell of a hunter. You know what I mean?
But here's the deal too, and just to, I mean, not to try to, but Brian, you're early 40s?
Yes, 41.
Okay, so I'll be 37 here, you know, in a few months. Will, you're a few years younger than me, but I have been through the cycle of being on both sides of the counter of an archery store, right?
Yeah.
So I've been the customer. I was a customer for a long time, and then, you know, the last almost 7 years I've owned a shop. I've also been on both sides of, well, not both sides, but I've been on the side of being a tournament shooter, trying to work my way up and earn a product sponsorship, and having done that with a few companies now, or being a part of a few different company manufacturer staffs, they're not all created equal, how they work their programs. In most cases, you end up spending more money to be on the pro staff and fulfill your duties as a manufactured pro staff member in certain organizations than you would if you would just go out and buy your bow, right?
Yes.
And that's a whole different podcast, a whole different topic. But as I've grown as an archer, I've seen it. You know, you just start out, you're shooting, you be a part of you start going to a pro shop or shooting leagues or what have you, and you see the guys that are killing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the posters of the guys on the catalogs, and you want to be that guy, and that's okay, right? I mean, having a role model or having someone to look up to, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's just that because this industry is small enough to where any amateur shooter can get a promotional staff or a field staff position with these companies. I mean, how many people do you see walking around and say, hey, I'm on a field staff, promo staff with Nike? Not very many, right?
No.
It doesn't happen. So archery is small enough to where you can have a relationship with these companies, and because you can, people go out and acquire it. And I've been through that, the different steps and the cycles. And yeah, I want to be on staff. And then I'm on staff, and it's like, hey, it's not what it's all cracked up to be. And then after experiencing a couple of different contracts and what you have to fulfill as a pro staffer, and then having a not so great experience with one of those to where I turned down a renewal and sidestep to a different company, now, I tell you what, like you said, if you will learn, and you may have to learn the hard way and go through the motions of, yeah, somebody's going to give you a free bow of a company that you have no idea, and you're going to take it and you're going to shoot it and realize that's not the equipment for you.
Right.
You know, so once you have a bad experience or a learning experience to where you say, look, the better way to go about it is trust in a product that's going to make you successful, support that product, whether you get something for free or not, and then if you can acquire a position on said staff, well, then it's a win-win situation. Because if you go about it the other way, you're going to learn the hard way somewhere along the line. Yeah. And that's where, with us being podcasters, looking at marketing in a different set of glasses, different set of binoculars, we have that decision to make again, to where there is financial, there's money to be exchanged or product, right? I'm not gonna. There's financial gain, and this being a sort of business, whether it's entertainment, education, like you said, or whatever it is, that's what the Gritty Bowmen and Natural Born Hunter, and that's what we were trying to do. And from what I've seen, it's going pretty successfully for along different paths for both of us, for all three of us, with what we're promoting out there. So that's where I try to talk to Will, because we've talked about this a few different times. Like, look, man, I've been in a position before where I could have sold out for money for different things, and I didn't do it. I pulled out, and I lost potentially a decent amount of money for a different media avenue that I backed out of, and this was 2 years ago. So it's like, so now I'm trying to instill in Will some of my experiences and visions as to where I think it would be beneficial, because like you said on the head, this is a very sticky situation. This could be, and all I will say is, hey, people looking forward, this is a business for us, right? This takes time away from our family. This isn't just the hour and a half that you hear us when you listen to a podcast. You know, there's time, preparation, lining out guests, putting questions together, figuring out, you know, how we want an episode to go, taking time out of our schedule, editing stuff, uploading, spending money on website. It's not just, hey, I'm going to start a podcast and there it goes, right?
Yeah.
So there's work involved here. So yes, at the end of the day, this is a business, and yes, we are looking at it as a business and trying to somewhat make it worth our time. That being said, we want to continue to deliver the best product we can where it doesn't influence our ability to do that in an honest, authentic way.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Will, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it's like there's like Phil said, he's been imparting some wisdom and some wise words from his own life lessons in the archery industry, as he is far more seasoned in it than I am. And there's some times where I might have made different calls had I not, you know, the first time I get off the phone with someone, the first thing I do is always call Phil. And it's not, hey, we should do this or this or that or the other thing. I'm not trying to sell it with it. My first thing is, this was the offer. What's your opinion on this? Because based off that, you know, I can draw and learn from Phil, but not everybody has a Phil Mendoza they can call up to make sure, you know, it's not a terrible idea. But like you said with the partnership earlier, when you find the right brands, like someone like Jordan and Casey from Mountain Ops, this is an example. You'll kind of know when you're meant to work with people, because they gave me a sheet, right, of what they wanted me to read for their ad, and I read it, and they go, forget that sheet. Just say whatever you want to. And that's the moment I knew, like, all right, these guys, they get it. They're perfect for us. They're a perfect fit for us, and we're a perfect fit for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you've had them on. You know those guys. I've heard you with, like, Corey Jacobson before. You know when people fit.
And I try very hard to interview people that interest me, that I like, and also that I have a personal relationship with. And that's one reason I do really enjoy doing a face-to-face interview with someone, and then later doing Skype interviews. Because I don't know, I just feel like that face-to-face thing gives me a connection that's different, and that chemistry is different. But we have a more honest and real conversation, you know, because we have a real relationship, and it's someone I can get behind because I really value them as a person. And but like when it comes to Casey and Jordan doing Mountain Op stuff, and they came to my family reunion in Utah, hung out for a couple days, and we just had a blast. And I got to know those guys at a much deeper level than just, hey, we sell supplements. And then on top of that, I use the supplements, and I'm like, they actually work. So now I have, like, it's just an awesome combination. So now I have two guys that I really respect and like, and a business that they're in, and then I have a product that I like. That's a good partnership that for me to work with them if they work with me. And so that sort of situation I like. What I don't like is, you know, like I said earlier, is when people are just bought and paid for. And Phil, earlier you were saying something about you know, being there before. You know, you've been in the industry a while and stuff, and probably more experience than Will and I by far, being sponsored and being paid and stuff to promote other people's products. Earlier I was saying I do want to promote a product like Mountain Ops that I really like, and I like them, and they also dig the Gritty Bowmen. They watch the shows, they laugh, they make comments, they're fans. They're like people I can. It's a win-win for us. But that said, at the end of the day, I want to advertise and promote people the way I want to promote them, not the way they want me to promote them. And so I feel like, hey, I do it my way. Trust me. Let me promote you the way I feel good and makes me feel authentic. Let me promote you the way I feel is the best way to promote you, and let me do it. But don't make me do it, you know, some other way, like this traditional or other way that I don't I don't like, that makes me feel disingenuous. And most of the companies that I've talked to have been like, yeah, do your thing. We love what you're doing. Just do your thing. We'll support you and you support us. And I like that. It shows that they trust me. They value my judgment. They value how I that there's trust. There's trust that I'm not just going to sit there and take from them without giving back, you know.
I think you're going to see too a rise in podcasts in the hunting world as far as an outlet for whether it's entertainment, information. I think podcasts are going to play a much bigger role in the hunting kind of community.
Well, look at it like podcasts in general have been. If you go to the fitness industry, there are some sweet podcasts out there. If you look at the business world, there's all kinds of great podcasts out there on how to, run a business, how to get started with all sorts of businesses. I mean, I think podcasting in general is just a great way to communicate ideas and to say things quick. It's just a great way to consume information.
Real time. You're in real time. Something big happens with the guy. You can get him on your show that week. Boom, talk about it. There's no ESPN for hunting, for hunters, for archery. I've thought about this, and it's like, man, if we could work with someone like Brian, we could start like an ESPN for this, because there's a lot of stuff you could talk about, and there's a lot of dedicated and interested and loyal fans who are interested in the hunting, archery, and gun community.
But Will, I really believe that the podcasts that will be successful are the ones that provide useful information. In the end, people do want to be entertained, but more than that, they want to be better people, better hunters, have better information. And if you don't provide that value to them, then
they'll find someone else that will.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for. So you got to as a podcast, I feel like it's my job to give them useful information. Whether it's to keep them excited about hunting all the time, keep them excited about fitness and being in shape, keep them motivated, or whether it's to provide them new skills, new tools, where they can go to find more skills. All that's part of just the podcast itself, sharing that information. When it starts getting ugly for me is when a guy is sponsored by 15 companies and every podcast is with someone he sponsors. That starts to again, back to what I said earlier, I feel like I'd rather sell a ton of Gritty Bowmen t-shirts than get paid by a sponsor to promote a product I don't believe in. If I got to make this thing, if this thing has to make money or I'm going to quit, I'm going to make money selling something that t-shirts that are mine, right? Then I'm not accountable. I don't have to answer to any company out there. It's all on me. It's all on me to be successful. A Gritty Bowmen hat, right, or something. That I'll sell that. Maybe I'll sell like Tim Burnett sells a gun cover for solo hunter, right? It's and it's valuable. People want that. It's a useful item that people want, and I feel like I'd rather come up with something that people want and give it to them than promote a product I don't believe in, and I have to sell my soul to do.
I've been hearing a lot of people inquiring about camo thong, so you might want to consider getting a Gritty Bowmen camo thong.
I think there's already a few of those.
I like it. We put your face on it somewhere.
Can you imagine that?
What's up?
You grill right where the...
So on, enough of that sponsor stuff.
I got some questions. I actually only have one question, but I think it's a good one, right? This is who would be your top 3 guests to get? Swing for the fences. Who are the top 3 you haven't had that you would like to have on your show? Your dream guests.
Yeah.
Just pick up the phone, boom, they're on next day.
Steven Ranilla.
All right.
I think Shane Mahoney. And number 3, I think I'd like to interview Cameron Haynes.
All right, and for the audience, in case they don't know who any of these people are, who are these 3? I'm guessing they're all gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, true. Another person I would like to interview is Eva Shockey. Let's throw a woman in there. Definitely would like to interview Eva Shockey. So I didn't want to, appear like I'm so male focused.
Who are these people? Who are these?
Who are they?
Yeah.
Why do I want to interview them?
People may not know, listening.
Okay, Steven Ranella is a host of the Meat Eater TV show. I would like to interview him or Giannis Putelis or someone from the program, but I've read all of Ranella's books. I think he's a great advocate for hunters because, he's really bridged the gap between the non-hunter and the hunter. Like, people care about their food and where it comes from, and their program was genius where his TV show, he's basically showing folks that from field to table stuff, this is where you get your food, this is how it is in the wild, and this is how you cook it, and really put an emphasis on that. Really got away from the trophy hunting kind of image that a lot of the hunting TV shows are focused on. But mostly, I just find him quite. I like that he's articulate. He's great ways of explaining to non-hunters why hunting is important. I relate to him. He has one of his books he wrote. He wrote in there something like, he wasn't exactly being the most honest guy in the world, trapping and stuff. And he's like, one day I woke up and realized I was an asshole. He just like, and he's like, okay, from that day forward, I decided, you know what? I don't like who I am. I want to change.
And that was the Meat Eater book, right?
Yeah.
I read that. That was a good book.
Yeah, it was. And I just am like, it's just, he's highly relatable to me. So I just find him interesting on all those levels. Shane Mahoney, he's all about conservation. He was just on, first time he hit my radar because I've been under a rock for years, was when he was on Randy Newberg's podcast. And Randy's another guy I would love to talk to. But on his podcast, I got to know, I heard from Shane, and then he was just on the Wired to Hunt podcast with Mark Kenyon. And I just think he's just the way he can explain conservation to hunters and non-hunters and the issues at play here. He spent a lifetime doing it. I just totally believe in. I get behind. And he's just got a lot of experience in that. I have a lot of questions. Although he's answered quite a few, at this point I just want to talk to him. I get like that. Like, I don't want to ask you anything about hunting anymore. I just want to talk to you, like ask you all these questions that are personal.
I feel like there's so many, there's the questions you want to ask everybody about hunting wise, like their own personal stories. And then sometimes I feel like you'll find somebody just you think is so interesting, you just kind of want to have a conversation with them.
Yeah. Like Cameron Haynes, Cameron Haynes is what's interesting about Cameron. I always felt like Cameron's a little cocky. But I've watched Cameron for years. He's right here in the Northwest. He hunts blacktails. He's been doing this for a long time. I've never met him personally, but he has a lot of people who idolize him, and I look at that. I'm like, he has a big following, a huge fan base that loves him. But he's also very polarizing, and you have guys in the hunting industry just can't stand him, just hate Cameron Haynes. So he's got a lot of haters. He's got a lot of people who love him too. I'm just fascinated in him as just a person because of where he's at. I think he's a phenomenal athlete. Like, what he's able to do, he's like a machine, and you just can't help but go, wow, that's impressive. But I'm more or less just interested in the person, talking to that individual, seeing what makes them tick and what makes them drive and stuff. None of these people I would have on the show to be like, so what's the best calling technique? I'm just not interested in that. Or even like with Cameron, like, what do you recommend I do to get in shape? I'm not going to ask Cameron that. I already know. Like, not that I know it all, but I mean, that's stuff like you can find anywhere. I want to know why he's done some of the things he's done. What makes him, what makes him tick? What makes him so driven. I don't know. Those are three people. With Eva, I just think she's refreshing. She's young. She's a female in the industry. She's very modest, which is not always the case with. And nothing against those who are less modest. It's
no, like who?
I mean, it just there's a lot of women that as they've entered the hunting industry have used their looks as a major focal point for promoting.
What are you saying?
They're and believe me,
you would use your looks too if you could.
Absolutely. Like looks are use whatever you've got, right? But I think like Eve is very attractive, and yet she still has tried to maintain a level of modesty, like dignity, I guess. So I just like that. I like that she's different than a lot of the others that I've seen. A lot of the other female. You like have those two groups, one that's like, bikini bow fishing, which nothing against that, and then you've got your fully clothed, camo head to toe kind of modesty, and I mean I just like that. I don't think Eva has. Again, I'm not going to go to her and say, okay, Eva, how do I hunt monster mule deers? What's your tactics and your tricks? It's more like, how have you? How's the industry? I mean, I'm fascinated by her father, how it was to grow up with Jim Shockey as your dad. I'm interested to know how she got into hunting, which I've heard her share a lot of this already, but some people haven't, and I'm kind of interested in how she feels about hunting now after being in it for so long, and yeah, it's just, I guess that's one thing that's cool about podcasting. Is and then there's people that a lot of other people don't like. Kenton Claremont. I want to meet Kenton. You hear this? I was going to go to Kenton's house and hang out and talk to him just because I want to meet Kenton. And that's what I think is kind of cool about the whole podcasting thing. When I first talked to Aron Snyder, I was like, we were at the Northwest Sportsman Show right here in Portland. And I went down there. I hadn't done a podcast yet, but I had like a microphone. So I was like, hey, I can do this. And so I show up and I'm like, hey, show me how to wear this pack right. And he's adjusting it and he's like, yeah, it's all wrong, man. And then so he gets it all adjusted. And then I said, we were talking in the booth for a minute. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this podcast thing. You want to do one? And he's like, sure, I guess. So,
I've listened to that podcast.
So I was like,
come a long way.
Yeah. So I was like, cool, dude. Let's go to Corey's shop, XXX, and let's do it. And he's like, all right, what time? I said, morning, So then we show up, and I had a million questions for the guy. The truth is, I mean, I did want some information from Aron, but mostly I'm just interested in Aron himself, and I want to know what he's like. And I guess I have that curiosity about people, and so it just propels me to interview people all the time, to like meet new people and see what they're like. And with a microphone and a podcast platform, it's the perfect excuse. Like, there's no way, like, if I do interview, one of these people, if I just went up and talked to them, we'll have a conversation, no doubt. And they probably be real respectful and cool and awesome, right? Like Steven Rinella, hey, yeah, I like hunting, blah, blah, blah. But when you have a microphone and a platform and you interview them, you get to ask questions. You don't just
You're a professional now.
Yeah.
You're on their level.
That's right. I'm a pro. So I get to say things, like ask questions that are, just, I guess, more probing. And I like that because I want to get right to the meat of it. Like, I want to know you at a deeper level right off the bat. I don't want to know you at the, just hunting story level.
Dude, podcasting is, and you may feel the same way, but it's like the ultimate fake it till you make it.
I don't think so. I think that I do think that whenever you're talking in public settings in front of people, that people respond. It's like when you do voiceover for a movie or something, because I've been doing a lot of filmmaking. In fact, when I talk about products to sell, that's pretty much my passion, is making a film. So I want to sell. I'll sell some branded gear. I'll get a Gritty Bowmen hat and T-shirt someday, hopefully sooner than later. But I don't want to be in the T-shirt and hat selling business. It's not my thing. But I do love making movies. I'm driven about it. I love filming. And so I'm like, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to make films, and I'm going to put them up for sale. And then I hope listeners think the films rock, and I hope they download them and buy them. That is what I want to do. But when I'm doing voiceover for a film, or when I'm sharing, when I get on a podcast, I think it's really important that you're confident. So that fake it till you make it thing comes into play. Like, be very confident. At the same time, though, people smell BS, man. They know when you're full of crap. And so,
oh yeah, I don't mean
confidence.
fake it like fake who you are, but I mean that
If you don't, even though you don't feel confident, pretend like you are confident.
yeah, like act like you belong there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
That's different. That's different to me than, so when you say fake it till you make it, it's almost like the snake oil salesman who pretends like he knows a bunch of crap.
Oh, no. I mean, like, fake it till you make it. Like, act like you belong there till you really belong there.
Till you feel like
I guess
you do.
necessarily. I think everybody's kind of doing that a little bit. Everyone's got their own little kind of. There's that next level you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
So if you act like you're on that level, and that's kind of where it is. The podcast for me has become a big equalizer and opened a lot of doors that would have been closed before having a platform. And people won't even ask. They don't know how many listeners the Natural Born Hunter podcast has. I've had people say yes to this podcast. I never thought I'd get on. And for all they know, I could have my mom and my grandmother listening. And Phil's would probably listen too.
True, but I think at some level those people look at it and go, it's not that big a deal for me to participate in this, and a lot of times I think they're just they do have some relationship or knowledge about like Phil, and so they're like, yeah, I'll come on, But I do think that a lot of success in a podcast, I just keep going back to this. My job when I podcast is I'm already fascinated about the person or really curious. Like I interviewed Phil for a podcast because I wanted to get to know Phil and see what made him drive and tick. I'm curious. And you went on that sheep hunt with Aron, so I heard lots of stories from Aron and stuff, and so I'm just curious, right? And so I get to interview Phil, and it's cool. But at the same time, my job, I feel like, if you're going to come on the show, my job is to highlight you or celebrate you, whoever's on the show. Not celebrate, like, me. The show's not about me. It's about whoever I'm talking to. And so when I have a guy on the show or a gal on the show, I genuinely want to get to know them, and I really want to celebrate whatever their thing is and tap into that. And I think that's really where you add some value to the podcast. That's my approach.
That reminds me a lot of, have you ever watched the show Inside the Actor's Studio?
No.
Oh, if you ever get a chance to check it out, I forget the name, and I should remember it. But the guy who does it, interviews like a ton of actors, and he's been in the industry for forever. And he just asks such intelligent, well-worded questions that I watch him and I'm like, this is an interviewer who is an expert at the craft of interviewing. He can really get the substance out of an interview other people haven't been able to get. And I think in a podcast, the thing we're kind of fortunate of is it's long form.
Yeah.
Being able to talk to someone for an hour and a half or however long the podcast go, you're going to get so much deeper than somebody who, like you're saying, only has a conversation with them that's 15, 20 minutes long.
Well, yeah, I remember hearing when I first posted, I don't know about you, but I first posted podcasts like with Aron. I posted it on YouTube. I didn't know how to use anything else, right? And so I post the podcast on YouTube. It's out there. And I kid you not, like 50 people watched it, that first week. And 20 of them were like, dude, an hour? Seriously? Come on, man. Can you get that down to 15 minutes? And I'm like, sitting there going, dude, there were an hour worth of questions, okay? No, I can't get it down to 15 minutes. It's like, I can just give you a bullet list of, Aron said these 25 things, but it's like, but you don't get the full substance. And I remember I heard Joe Rogan talking one time, and he's like, people are like, well, how long, we shoot for an hour, and we have a hard stop at an hour on a podcast. And Rogan was like, why do people do that? If the conversation is still good and it's going and it's flowing, and there's information and ideas being shared, he's like, let it go. Let it go for as long as it needs to until you're kind of done with the conversation. And he's like, if people want to listen, this is what I told people that they were like, yeah, man, an hour's really long. I need to get it down to 20 minutes, And I just emailed him back and was like, dude, I know how. I know how to get it down to 20 minutes. Listen to 20 minutes of it and shut it off. Boom. Booyah. You have a 20-minute podcast. If you want to hear the rest, you can listen to it. You got 20 minutes.
You can listen to it in, hopefully I got my math right, 3 20-minute sections.
That's right. You can turn it off if it doesn't interest you. But then some guys were like, I listened to the whole hour. It was awesome. I loved it. I can't believe I listened to the whole hour. And I'm like, that's what a podcast is about. If I listen to a podcast and I'm 30 minutes in, I'm like, this just isn't working for me. I'm bored. It's not. I turn it off and I go on to another one. And not every podcast we do is a home run. Some are interesting conversations. Some are not.
I don't know what you're talking about. Listening to them, I would say they're all out of the park.
Yeah.
See, celebrating the guest.
That's
I
right.
this guest.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like so I don't shoot for length per se. I just shoot for information and it kind of, you can feel when the conversation's kind of winding down. It feels right. And
I usually get a text from Phil that says, I got to wrap up. And that's how I know it's time to end that podcast. I talk for like 3-4 hours. That's my problem. I just keep going. I don't know when to shut up. My wife will tell you that.
So Will, to ask you the same question, who are the 3 guests that you would like to interview?
I actually have a list, and this is a list I will look at every couple times a week. I've texted it to Phil, and it'll change. It'll change a little bit. There's like 4. I have the top 4. Change my rotation.
It's kind of funny. Like if I were to go into just other people I want to interview, Rich Froning's on the list.
Yeah.
Some CrossFit people are on the list. A lot more women CrossFitters are on the list.
There's really cool women CrossFitters. That's one of the things.
Yeah.
I know you're a CrossFitter yourself, and I know Phil has seen some CrossFit. And the thing I love about CrossFit, and you may agree with me, you may disagree with me on this, but you check your ego pretty darn quick in CrossFit.
Yeah, dude,
it's funny that way.
It's funny. I'll go in on a Saturday and do this group WOD with everybody's workout, and I'll beat everybody at the gym. Then I'll go the next week and I'll be dead last. I mean, it just really goes. And Phil, you said this kind of about Train to Hunt. It really does, humble you because you realize you have big holes. Like you excel in these areas, but you really suck in these areas, and those weaknesses really get brought out. I think in a good fitness program, a good program that challenges you mentally and physically, that's what it does. It brings out the areas where you're strong, yes, but it also highlights the areas where you need to work.
And that may be the kind of the problem in the hunting industry is there's not any people, or there's not enough people who will take a look at their weaknesses or admit their weaknesses. They want to actually have no weaknesses.
That's not just archery, and that's in my opinion, that's society these days. Everybody wants a medal. Everybody wants a participation ribbon, and it drives me nuts. But you should be rewarded for excelling and working hard and being better than somebody else. And if you're not, then work harder or get a coach or figure out how you can be better or get better. So that I don't know. I think it's just people in general.
Isn't there that commercial where the kids out there playing football or something. He comes back with the trophy, and it's just got like participant or
Oh,
something on it.
Yeah, the one with his dad rips the thing off.
Yeah, he rips it off and writes champs on the trophy. Yeah. That's my point of view. And I was thinking about this the other day. Is like growing up, kids were to be seen and not heard, right? If I was to sit in a room and I was allowed to sit in the room with the adults, I didn't talk. And I think about it now, and it's like, man, I learned so much sitting at that table, just not talking and learning. And I guarantee you there's nothing they would have learned from me had I decided to talk. You know, it's way better, I thought, the way I was growing up of just looking back now, realizing it. Back then I thought it was stupid I couldn't talk. But now it's like, man, I learned so much just sitting there observing for so many years.
Yeah, I think that, you know, like I said, just everybody... Society now, nobody wants to hurt anybody else's feelings. Nobody wants to, I don't know, man. I mean, it drives me. I mean, my son being 6 now, we're starting to get him into some activities, some sports. And I talk to other parents, and they're like, yeah, if you want this level, don't do this, because at this place, they don't keep score. They don't, they let them play. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, so then are they on recess, or what are they doing? Because I know even when I was on recess, we were playing to try to beat whoever we were playing, you know. So it's not even recess anymore. It's just what are things coming to? And I mean, that's not exactly relating to what you're talking about, Will, there, but it's just one of those deals. I think ties in. Society is, I don't know, man.
I get where you're coming from. I think that there are definitely like with podcasting, I heard who said it? Tim Ferriss said it. Have you ever read Tim Ferriss 4 Hour Work Week or?
Yep.
Okay. He was talking about how when you try to be like politically correct, for example, you try really hard to as you're doing like, and I do this as I'm doing a podcast, I'm like, oh no, this might really offend somebody, this statement, right? Or girls, females. I just said, you know, guys are blah blah. I didn't really say, you know, guys and gals, or you know what I mean? Like there's a PC way of saying some things, and then there's just some ways that I normally just talk, right? And then there's things about subjects that aren't exactly, you know, they're polarizing subjects, opinions that you have that can really turn off a subset of, let's say, your group that listens. Okay, if you really firmly believe in something, but you change it or you water it down because you don't want to offend that group, or you don't want to offend that group, or you're like, oh, I can't really say that. Let's not talk to that about that because that'll make that group upset, or that'll hurt this person's feelings. Pretty soon you've watered down everything you say so much that it doesn't have any meaning at all.
No, you're not saying anything anymore.
Yeah. And he's like, be careful. Of course you don't want to just, you know, alienate people, but at the same time, be careful not to you can't please everybody. There's going to be some Gritty Bowmen haters. There are.
The bigger you get, the more there will be.
And it's like, you can't please everyone, but there's going to be a subset of people who really do relate to you, like your message, and believe in you. And those people will get, you know, way behind you a lot more if you're true to your message and authentic, and you don't water it down to make people, because you're afraid, you know, you might upset a group of people. So I try to just be as real as I can, you know, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And it sort of goes back to the whole thing with everybody gets a trophy. We're so worried about upsetting people or hurting someone's feelings or letting a kid fail, you know, that we don't teach them the right stuff. You know, they don't actually develop and grow, you know. In fact, we give them the wrong message. You don't have to work hard to be successful. You don't have to earn anything. You don't have to strive. Everybody's a winner, regardless of whether they're successful or not. Don't get me wrong. I think it's an important message to say that everybody has intrinsic value as a human being. That everybody's, everybody's important. You know, don't leave anybody behind. But at the same time, success should be directly correlated to how much work you put in and how hard you strive, you know.
I know I've learned far more in my defeats and failures than I have in my victories.
I don't know. I can't relate to that. I don't really fail or have defeats, so.
I don't know. I've listened to some of your shows.
I'm with Brian on that one. I don't know what you're talking about, Will.
I've learned so much from winning everything.
Just winning all the time gets so boring.
It's so tough. No, I hear you, man. Same thing. Like when I've had some epic hunting failures, and those things definitely taught me some lessons. Elk hunting has been among the chief the chief teachers, I guess.
To go back to your question, because I'm going to.
Who would you interview?
Put this out in the universe just in case one of them's listening. So it's the number one person always stays the same, but the next three will rotate on my list. And so number 4 spot, I put Bo Jackson. Grew up watching Bo. Bo knows was huge. He's also a hunter, an archer. So I'd love to talk to Bo. Then it would be.
Didn't he play baseball?
Yeah, baseball and football. The only guy who's playing both professional sports one season and then the next.
Yeah, I could get behind him if he just played football, but baseball.
Just
kidding, Phil.
Too much. He's just too much. He played for Kansas City too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it would be Brannamon Shockey, because I think what he's doing film wise it's his work when he did I think it was a 3-part series of a goat hunt in Nepal his dad was doing that he shot. Yeah. And that's when I realized, holy cow, this guy is just unbelievably talented. Cool. And I think he's the one who filmed it. He just did a series called Ivan Carter's War. Have you seen the preview for that? And that just looks really good. So I'd love to have him on to talk film and hunting and similar things you'd ask probably Eva about what it's like growing up that way. But I love the film aspect of some of these.
It's funny when you bring stuff up. Like it's like, well, I have my top 3 or 4 film guys I'd like to interview. I have my top bow hunting, like archery compound, my trad guys. I mean, my CrossFit fitness guys, my diet guys. I definitely have different genres. But yeah, I know what you mean with the film guys.
Yeah.
I really like Jeff Simpson.
Yeah.
With the short season, and I'd love to interview him. I'd love to interview Donnie Vincent.
That'd be good.
I really like Donnie. I like his films. There's definitely some film guys that I like Mo, Meat Eater. And there's a few guys I'm curious about. Okay, so go on.
All right, and then in the number 2 spot is Buck Brannamon. You ever hear him?
Did you make that name up?
Nope. He is the real life horse whisperer. Like in the movie The Horse Whisperer, they use his stunt horse. He was there to help with the horse training, and he believes he's one of these guys who I think's become so good at his craft. He's probably the best or one of the best guys in the world. And not too long ago, I watched a documentary called Buck, and it was about him and his upbringing. And he was just one of these really interesting, unique people. And the way someone who's just that great of an expert in their field that I was just compelled by their story so much, it's just one of the people I just want to have, the long form conversation with.
Yep.
So that's where he's my number 2. If you ever get a chance, watch that. It's a really good documentary. And then number 1 is Yvon Chouinard, who is the founder of Patagonia and one of the first men to climb Half Dome and, a lot of different summits. But anybody who can survive on cat food, somebody I'd like to interview.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's there's something about that story for him. Like you basically start from nothing. You're just a climbing bum. And he would go buy cat food, but not just any cat food. He would go to the dented canned goods stores and buy the dented cans of cat food because they were better than the dog food, and they were the cheapest thing you could buy. And that's what he was living off. And to go from that to being, the owner of Patagonia, one of the probably top what would they call it now? They've got fancy terms for this thing, but it's like when you're a businessman and a conservationist, you know, these eco-friendly kind of capitalists.
Yeah.
Is pretty impressive to me.
While you're at it, can you talk to them about becoming more hunter friendly?
I've heard rumors, man. I've heard rumors they're going to become real hunter friendly. I've heard some rumors.
Yeah.
I could tell you the rumors, but I don't know if that'll get us blackballed. But let's just say I've heard some big rumors from some people. I mean, you never know, but I've heard some rumors Patagonia will be becoming very hunter friendly, let's say.
So that'd be cool. That'd be very cool.
It would.
So tell me this, with you two guys, what is it that, like, how is your fitness compare? Like, if you two were to go head to head on a workout, who would win?
It would depend. If the workout involves any kind of running, Phil would win.
Okay, well, Phil, I mean, is it true? I mean, could you beat him on the other workouts too? I mean, probably.
Feels like a...
I've kind of shifted my training. I think that 4 or 5 years ago, I think I'd give Will a run for his money across the board on the lifting. But yeah, right now, I don't lift heavy anything.
Oh, okay.
I just don't.
So, Will, what are you lifting? What are your numbers?
This morning I hit it. 1 second. I'll be right back. I have a dog that really needs to be taken outside. Hold on. Phil, you tell him some interesting things about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I as a senior, well, in high school I did powerlifting. I don't know if we talked about that a little bit, but when we did bench, squat, dead, you know, those are the 3 lifts that we did in the meets. And as a senior, the couple of meets that I got to do, I ended up hurting my knee in a baseball game towards the end of the year. But I think I pause press bench at 165 pounds. I did 285 in a meet, and then I squatted 420 or 425, and I deadlifted 470, I think is what it was, as a senior in high school. So I did okay at 165 pounds for a little guy. Those numbers went up the next couple years as I continued working out, but I don't know, man. I don't feel like I need to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I've gotten on this kick lately where my workouts I've been doing have been primarily body weight exercises.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I mean, yeah, it's definitely more kind of cardio related, but I'm enjoying it. I really am.
That's cool. Yeah, I do some. One of the reasons I like to lift is for mobility. I mean, that's just a huge reason why I like to lift. And then it just seems to create stronger connective tissue for me as I'm older. Having, real strong connective tissue is all I really care about. The strength isn't the deal for me. It's, how good the joints are. And people have this idea that lifting heavy weights is bad for the joints. My experience has been lifting heavy weights makes those joints stronger. I think it has a lot less to do with weight and more to do with volume. If you're overusing it at a heavy load, then I think you can be counterproductive, I suppose. But I think your body just adapts to whatever. You have those guys that are doing like the dude at Muscle Farm doing heavy squat every day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Corey
Gregory, I think, isn't it?
You're right.
And a few other guys do the same thing and experimented with it. And some of them are a lot older athletes. And they're like, by the time they get there, it's no big deal. So last summer, I did it for 4 months. I just squatted every day. Then hunting season came along and sort of screwed it up. But, the squat every day thing, after about a month and a half, it was nothing. It really was. I mean, you just adapt. And I think those bones and those connective tissues just get stronger than people realize from putting a heavy load on them. I can do as much body weight stuff as I want, and I think it's good. I think it's definitely cardio, a lot more cardio based. You get the heart rate going up a lot higher, which is really good for general fitness and probably transfers on the mountain really well. But for longevity of life, I really think lifting is critical, especially as you get older. I just feel like it has more impact on the bones and the joints in a healthy and positive way, that the ligaments and the tendons, than people realize. And I can stretch all I want, and I can do as much yoga as I want, but there's nothing that gets me into a deep squat like a 400-pound bar on my shoulders.
I'd love to see you doing yoga.
Yeah, it's actually not too bad. It's funny, again, when you do some things and you realize, wow, I'm really good at this, and then you do like some yoga move and you're like, whoa, I have no flexibility whatsoever, and it really exposes those weaknesses too. But anyway, I think lifting, I just have a bar in my basement, so it's not like I have to go anywhere or do a lot. I just come down, do my thing, and then 15, 20 minutes. And I think consistency every day is a lot more impactful than anything else.
So what kind of numbers are you putting up?
Not really good now, like I try to do five rep sets, and do usually like three sets of 5. So I'll do deadlift and squats and then overhead press and kind of stick with that. For me, I have pretty good lower body strength and good explosiveness. So some of those Olympic lifts work well for me, but like a strict deadlift, like a strict deadlift, if I do a 5-set rep, I used to do like 390, 400, which isn't very, I'm 190. It's just not that much. But then I'll clean and jerk, 310, 305. And it's like, that's a whole different thing than, for me, that's a lot easier than doing a strict dead. And there's just something about moving the bar slow versus moving it fast, and I'm just a lot better with the speed thing.
Speed and timing is so important.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you ever listen to the podcast Weightlifting Talk?
No.
It's hosted by John North and Jared Enderton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like John North.
Yeah, me too. And that's the reason we started our podcast. He's the one who was listening to his podcast. I was like, I'd like to do something for hunter athletes just like this, know?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty stoked because he's coming to Albany, which is like an hour away from me. I think it's January 17th, and I'm going to go to the clinic he's doing there, try to get my speed and timing down because I am slow with terrible timing. Yeah. So, yeah, the big squats and those things I'm way better at.
Yeah. Yes, any squats I'm good at. I can do heavy squats, but anything over like upper body, that goes away pretty fast. So if I take a break from the gym for 2 or 3 months and I go back in, usually my squat numbers, my pull numbers, they're kind of the same. But if I have to press anything, it drops like in half, and I got to earn it all back little by little.
Yeah, and that's I know what you mean with hunting season. One hunting season, I dropped out of the gym so much. It was just a huge hill I had to climb to get back to where I was before I left.
It's tough if you're trying to perform at an elite level, like if you want to do regionals or some kind of CrossFit level kind of thing. You can't be taking breaks like that.
Oh,
but hunting's my thing, man, and it's that's why I'm like,
not giving up hunting to go to the gym. That's for sure.
No. And so I do a little bit of I just try to do as much I just try to sneak in the gym whenever I can.
When you coming out to a train to hunt event to compete?
I'm thinking I'm going to try it this year.
I've been trying to get someone to team up with Jordan. I suggested Casey, but I guess he's got like a back issue, so Jordan said
Harbertson?
Yeah.
Mountain Ops?
Yeah.
I don't need a dead weight. If I'm going to partner with someone, I want them to be a killer.
All right then.
No offense, Jordan. I love you, brother.
No offense for your dead weight.
No. It's just like I'm competitive, dude. I don't like to lose. If I'm gonna go, I want to win.
I hear you.
And yeah. Speaking of which, they have that 40 and older, right?
Yeah. I think so. Masters, right?
Or they have the whole compete with the 20-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't decided which one to do. You know?
Do them both. You can try both.
Do them both?
Yeah, you could do one then the other.
Oh, at like a different location?
Different places, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Don't get like, people may be caught up like, oh, I'd get my doors blown off or this or that. It's like, if you're competitive, you want to go compete against the best, then sign up for the open and do it.
So what is it like? Is it really there are partners?
Yeah, you can go man and man, man and woman. There's women and women, which you don't qualify for as far as I know. And I think that's all the teams, right, Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's the what? Like single, like just
There's the open.
own?
There's masters, super masters, women's individual, but what we've been pushing is to try to get a lot of teams to one place, just for kind of just a free for all team kind of brawl. You know what I mean? Like, I think Phil's going to be teaming up with Matt Davis from Hoyt. I'm going with Lane from Outback Outdoors. And that's why I'm trying to build some more teams. I know there's a few more out there who will be competing.
Yeah, my brother-in-law and I go to the gym together. He's intense.
You're like, I'm finding a stud.
Well, I mean, he's a beast. He's
Show
a beast.
pony.
Here's the thing, though, man. It's like, I don't know about you guys, but so Full Draw, they want their films, and I'm trying to get like 4 or 5 films done before January, and then do the podcast as well and keep that going. And then my day job, and then my kids, and
little things,
and then fitness on top of that. And I don't know, man. The area that's probably slipped the most in the past year since I started Gritty Bowmen is definitely the fitness area. Just I'll work out for a week or two, and then not for 2 or 3 weeks, and then back at it. And I always try to go at least in the basement for 15 or 20 minutes, a couple days a week, and just kind of lift some weights, but. Definitely, I was chasing my kids around the park just a couple days ago, dude. I was gasping for air, and just one of those things. I got to get my butt in gear if I'm going to compete like that. But there's so many competing things going on. It's hard to fit it all in. That's my excuse.
Suck it up. Nobody cares. Work harder.
Well, here's the thing. It's funny. I figured I'd go just without being in shape and just see how I do, and probably beat mostly everybody.
That's a great idea. I tried that once and Phil handed my ass to me.
How did it go? How did that go?
Phil dropped me like a sack of flour.
Oh
well.
Hey, and Whit, was that Fort Collins you're referring to?
Yeah, that was Fort Collins.
No, I'm
like a man on fire, and Phil put me out.
I'm definitely going to do it this year. I'll just do it just to meet people. I think the train to hunt scene is pretty cool, and the community there is cool. I'm going to do it. I just don't know which area or how ready I'll be. It's funny because the fitness part doesn't really bother me. I've been to a lot of different CrossFit competitions, just local ones for fun, and I just like competing. Sometimes I win, sometimes I'm close to last, whatever. You just show up and have some fun. That doesn't bother me. But I think I talked to you about this, Phil. Shooting my bow in a competition, that actually kind of freaks me out. It's like, I haven't done any 3D shoots or haven't done a lot of that kind of stuff. And, just don't have a lot of experience. Judging yardage, things like that, that's not really something I've really worked on.
I actually think it's the best thing that's helped me for my hunting shots. Yeah. Those high pressure shots. Like I killed the doe the first season after my first train to hunt season, and it was a tough shot through a lot of leaves and stuff. And I felt no pressure, anything. I was super confident in it, and I just drilled her, and she dropped about 50 feet later, and it was just like. Thanks to Train to Hunt and the whole high pressure situation, having Phil kick my ass, I just felt really confident going into the woods.
Nice. Yeah, I'll do it.
Good. And on that note, we got to wrap up and get to another show. Actually, we got after this one. So this has been the Super Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is Will Bradley for Natural Born Hunter. Wake up, chase your dreams, repeat. And for the Gritty Bowmen Podcast, stay gritty. Terrible impersonation, but you get the picture.
I got it. Thanks, Will. All right, friends. Thanks for listening and supporting the podcast. Don't forget about our deal with Mountain Ops. Type in the word gritty at checkout and get 20% off until the end of the year. For those of you who have not seen the Full Draw Film Tour this year and want to go, check out their website for their tour schedule. And if you haven't done so, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel or to the Gritty Bowmen TV podcast on iTunes or Podbean so you can see all the latest video content we have produced. And be sure to have a look at the new Elk 101 website where you can find our podcast and other great elk hunting content. Thank you for taking the time to leave us your feedback. We really appreciate your sincere support of our show. Finally, let me leave you with this quote by President Theodore Roosevelt, who in 1905 said, "In a civilized and cultivated country, wild animals only continue to exist at all when preserved by sportsmen. The excellent people who protest against all hunting and consider sportsmen as enemies of wildlife are ignorant of the fact that in reality, the genuine sportsman is by all odds the most important factor in keeping the larger and more valuable wild creatures from total extermination." Friends, always take the time to educate those around you about your role as a hunter in preserving the wild creatures of this world. If you don't, who will? As always, good luck on your hunts and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Gritty Bowmen.